What's going on, guys? Army Teacher in the house, and I'm here with the ADL. Week number 1, round 1. Your Royal Bomber for Bombies are taking on the Exostomp Excadrills and my good friend Exostomp TV. He streams his matches live. I'll leave his link down in the description below if you haven't checked him out. Firstly, where have you been? He's been here quite a lot. Secondly, go check him out. His insight into his battles are really interesting to watch. But yeah, nonetheless, he's got a pretty scary team, but I think I've got good answers for his team. I think the matchups vary back and forth, but yeah. Let's talk about his team, then we'll talk about my team. But before I do that, I do want to give a quick shout out to Tyler Brown, who is coach of the Sleeping Snorlaxes. He's in the other division. He's also recording his matches for YouTube. I'll leave his link down below as well. Feel free to go check him out, go show him some love as well. I do like his team when he's drafted, especially, and I like his battles, so yeah, go check him out. But now, enough about that. Let's go talk about his team. So, first up, Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat, very good pivot, decent speed, pretty much known for Overheat, Volt Switch, Defog, and then one other move. Sometimes it's Toxic, Will-O-Wisp, could be Thunderbolt for additional damage. But pretty much all that's what you expect from Rotom. I expect it to be Scarfed, because if it's not Scarfed, Scarfed Dracovish outspeeds it, and one-shots with Fisher's Rend, which is not really what you want from the Rotom. You want the Rotom to be able to pivot out from it, so it has to be Scarf, really. It can't really be Barry. Typically, you sometimes see it with a Pinch Barry. But yeah, in this case, I think it has to be Scarf. Next up is Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn, typically known for his good special bulk, of course, only having 2 weaknesses, that quad weakness to fire and a weakness to fighting. Does cause problems for him in general. It is probably one of his better picks in this team, but it is weak to Cinderace. It does struggle against Copper Ojar with Heat Crash, particularly if I'm running Heavy Metal. But yeah, definitely a tough one for him. Definitely not easy for him to deal with. But nonetheless, good hazard setter, decent bulk, does get Gyro Ball, of course, which can do a lot of damage, particularly to certain members of my team, like Cinderace, that's quite fast, although it does resist. Does hurt Whimsicott quite a little bit. Ferrothorn is a very good switch in to Whimsicott, so I fully expect to see that be the norm in this match. Next up is Jellicent. Very good physical wall, does get Water Absorb, which can stop Dracovish in its tracks. Otherwise, it does have Curse Body, which can disable me, which is kind of annoying. Very good physically bulky Pokemon. Does not actually live a Choice Banded Power Whip from Copper Ojar, though, even if it is fully Fizz Death. But that's pretty much the only real way I've got to beat it. Otherwise, it's really annoying. It's a big nuisance to deal with. But nonetheless, I do have answers for it. Next up is Slurpuff. Slurpuff got hard nerfed this gen with access to tutor moves being taken away, so there's no Sticky Webs, there's no Belly Drum anymore, so he's going to have to proc Unburden in a different way. And the problem with procking Unburden in a different way is he has to be really low health to proc it, which does not really help his cause whatsoever. Nonetheless, does get Sub still. It's a pretty scary Dynamax Pokemon, but nonetheless, pretty easily deal withable. I have good Steel coverage and Poison coverage on my team. So, can be an issue. Fun fact for you, Choice Banded Dracovish with Tailwind up does actually still outspeed Unburden Slurpuff, so that's something cool to note there, but yeah. Nonetheless, Slurpuff, powerful sweeper if it can get set up, but there's not the best chances for it in this particular match. Next up is Excadrill, of course, his signature Pokemon, his mascot. Got buffed this gen thanks to Rapid Spin getting buffed. Good Stealth Rocker, does get Earthquake Iron Head, does get some coverage moves as well. Most known for rock moves. Expect it to be Scarf Mold Breaker. If it's not Scarf, it does actually struggle against Dracovish. So that's something to bear in mind, but we'll see. Next up is Ditto. Ditto, very predictable, very one-dimensional. It's going to be Choice Scarf Imposter. It's basically the counter sweeper Pokemon. Pretty much the only way you beat Ditto, don't build anything that's weak to themselves. That's pretty much all you gotta do. And any Scarfers, it can only speed type, but because the HP stat's not copied, it's going to have a pretty low HP stat in general. So it's not necessarily going to be the most impactful Pokemon in this match, but in the right situation, it can definitely cause some problems. Next up is Machamp. Machamp's a cool Pokemon, does lack in speed tier, however, but gets a lot of coverage moves, gets good abilities in Guts and No Guard. Does hit pretty hard, can be pretty scary. I have decent enough answers for it on my team, with Butterfree especially. Whimsicott can take it on, short of Poison Jab, various moves like that. So Machamp is good, but I don't think it's that great in this matchup. I have enough good answers to merit him not bringing it. Glaceon, kind of one Pokemon that is good against on my team is Dracovish, fully physically defensive, will live a Fishious Rend, and then a Freeze Dry will one-shot Dracovish. But again, that's pretty much the only situation where Glaceon is good. It struggles against Cinderace, it struggles against Copperajah. I do have a Kameo that can get fighting moves. Other Pokemon on my team can also get fighting moves. So I don't see Glaceon being that good, but Glaceon exists. It can be a Dracovish answer if he chooses to bring it. Next up is Liepard. Liepard not that great in this matchup. Does get Prankster, of course, for utility options. But nonetheless, that's pretty much all Liepard really does. Does get Sucker Punch priority, but it's not the greatest. I have plenty of answers for it. Fighting answers in Cinderace and Hakama-O, bug answers in Butterfree, of course, and also coverage options, you know, Fairy for Whimsicott, and also Cutiefly. So I don't see a world where Liepard is ever good in this match, but yeah, it's a Pokemon nonetheless. And last but by no means least is Swoobat. Swoobat, not the best in this matchup at all, largely due to not being able to touch Copperajah that well. Alongside that, things like Pikachu can take Swoobat on really well. It's very passive, very frail unless it sets up, and it's not going to get the time to set up. Even with that simple ability, it just does not set up fast enough to be able to take enough hits from some of my hard-hitting mons. Things like Crunch from Dracovish just ruins it, so there's not a lot it can do here. Alright, so that's his team. Let's talk about my team. So first up, I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone to see Dracovish here. Dracovish running Choice Scarf, but I'm actually going to try and bluff Band for the most part in this match. And you'll see why with some of the other mons in my sets, but this is pretty much going to click Fishious Rend most of the time once the Jellicent and the Ferrothorn are gone. Dracovish can just rip through teams. In Tailwind, it beats the Slurpuff. Out of Tailwind, it can still beat the Excadrill if it's not Scarfed. It beats the Rotom if it's not Scarfed. But yeah, generally it's going to click Fishious Rend a lot of the time. If Ditto comes in against it, I'll be aiming for Crunch. The reason for that, of course, is Fishious Rend actually does very little to Dracovish in general because it quad resists it. So yeah, that's something to bear in mind. I'll show you in the battle. Well, probably, hopefully, when this situation goes into play. Hopefully it happens, and I'll be able to talk more about it there. But yeah, pretty much the goal is click Fishious Rend, kill things. That's basically it. So in order to do that, I need hazards off the field, and what better way to get rid of hazards than Court Change on Cinderace with heavy duty boots. Pretty much this thing's job is to pivot, dish out damage where possible. Pyro Ball, of course, murders Ferrothorn. Doesn't do much to Jellicent, however. Court Change there to get rid of hazards. He does have a couple of Rock Setters, as well as a Hazard Stacker and that Ferrothorn. High Jump Kick hits a lot of his team except Jellicent, and U-Turn just to get away from any matchup. I do expect Jellicent to be the main answer to Cinderace, so U-Turn is a very solid option just to get out of there. But yeah, pretty standard set otherwise, nothing too complicated here. I'm not really trying too much with Cinderace. Cinderace is just there to get rid of hazards, just to allow Dracovish to come in with as much health as possible. Next up is gonna be Whimsicott. Whimsicott's job here is to set up Tailwind. This, of course, will allow Dracovish to beat the Slurpuff. Pretty much Tailwind, Leech Seeds, all it's gonna click. Moonblast, Giga Drain is just there for stab. I don't expect to be able to click either of them. But yeah, Whimsicott's primary job, set up Tailwind. That's basically it. Tailwind will also help one other Pokemon on my team, which I'll talk about a bit later, to beat the Jellicent, and that's going to be the main aim here. Next up is a mon that I very nearly didn't put on the team. Had I had more time to build this, this probably wouldn't have made the team. Gigamax Butterfree. With Compound Eyes, Sleep Powder is 97% accurate, Hurricane is 91% accurate, so not bad. But yeah, with Gigantamax, of course, the Gmax Befuddle does potentially put a status on something, which is nice. Definitely helps us out a little bit. The only time that doesn't work is if the Slurpuff gets a Gmax Starfall up and Misty Terrain is up. But I don't expect to see that, personally. But yeah, nonetheless, hopefully if Butterfree ever gets in a good position, it can put in some work. This could well be my lead. it's highly likely that it will be my lead. If Rotom comes, it might change my opinion, but it's probably likely that this is going to be my main lead option. I could have run Quiver Dance, but I kind of felt like I needed these additional moves more than anything else, so I opted for these instead. Next up is going to be Hakamo. Hakamo is actually kind of interesting in this match. It generally is there to sponge a hit if it can, thanks to a Violite. It's got decent bulk. Bulletproof means things like the kind of ballistic moves like Focus Blast and those kind of moves, Gyro Ball that Ferrothorn has, will not hit Hakamo. Of course, it also resists knockoff and things like that. Losing the Violite would suck, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. If I can get a Dragon Dance up and potentially set up with it, I probably need 2 to guarantee to be good with this thing in this match. But yeah, Drain Punch is there mostly for Excadrill and Ferrothorn, of course. Iron Head is there to hit the Slurpuff. Dragon Claw is there for anything else. But yeah, it's an okay mon in this matchup. It's not the best mon in this matchup, but it can potentially set up and sweep if I get the right opportunity. And last but by no means least is my next Tailwind abuser, which is going to be Copperajah. Copperajah running Banded Heavy Metal with Heat Crash will one-shot the Ferrothorn and one-shot the Excadrill. Power Whip will actually OHKO the Jellicent. If Tailwind is up, I actually outspeed a fully physically defensive Jellicent in this situation, which is what I expect him to run, because he kind of needs it to handle some form of Dracovish, especially if I click Crunch. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation for him. Copperajah's job is to be a wall breaker. It is to break through a lot of these defensive Pokemon. If I can get rid of Jellicent with Power Whip, if I can get rid of Ferrothorn with Heat Crash, then Dracovish goes in. That's going to be the main plan of action, but I need Tailwind to be able to make sure I can do that. So, that's going to be our team. Look forward to the match, and it will be a little bit of time before I actually play the match, but yeah. From here on out, you're going to see a very quick jump cut, and I'll take you through what happens in the battle. So, I'll see you there. Alright guys, here we are back with the battle here. You can see the 6 he brought, and pretty much exactly what we expected. No Machamp, no Glaceon, no Liepard, no Swoobat. So pretty much the rest of his team is here. As you can see here, he opts to lead with his Scarf Rotom, which makes a lot of sense. Fully expected to see that. Now at this point, I can't confirm if he's Scarf, of course. But we do choose to Gigantamax here and Max Guard. This pretty much allows me to scout for a move, and we do see the Volt Switch straight away, which is nice. He does Volt Switch again. Now this damage calc tells me that he's not Choice Specs, which is good to know. Now at this point he could still be Berry, I believe, because I am just going to check for certainty, but I'm fairly sure Rotom, if he's not Scarf, still outspeeds Butterfree. Tops at 208. Maybe not. Maybe not. So I actually potentially knew that this was Scarf sooner. Oh no, he does still outspeed me naturally. So yeah, this Rotom could still be Scarf, could still be Berry. At this point, I felt like he was more likely to be Scarf, given the fact he clicked Volt Switch twice. Does generally indicate Scarf. But you never quite know, as he does go Ferrothorn here, as I do go for the Airstream. This tells me that there's a little bit of Spadef investment, and at least there's quite a decent chunk. He's definitely max HP. Obviously this means that I can't kill with another one, which does suck here. I could just have gone for another Airstream here. He actually went back to Rotom, but I actually kind of predicted that and went for the Befuddle, and we were lucky here because we got the Poison, which is super nice. The little chip does actually matter because it puts it in range for a Crunch for Dracovish. The Volt Switch does come out here to kill the Butterfree. Butterfree, again, not the most useful in this matchup, but he does opt to bring out the Ferrothorn here. Now, just to see what he goes for, I actually go for Cinderace here. Obviously threaten a Pyro Ball, and we do see that Jellicent immediately. As we go for U-turn, just to get it out of there. And we go into Copperajah. This of course threatens Power Whip, as we do see the leftovers. I still can kill from this range, but predicting Will-O-Wisp because I'm slower, I do switch to Whimsicott, as we do see the Will-O-Wisp and miss. This was an unfortunate turn for him. Excuse me. Wow. That came out of nowhere. But ultimately didn't really matter. The leftovers does put it back to full health. But yeah, with Whimsicott taking a burn, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. The only thing that cancels is leftovers. Alright. So, continuing on, he does actually switch back out into Ferrothorn here. I make my first misplay by Leech Seeding. I should have predicted it and just gone for Tailwind, but I didn't. So, nonetheless, I'm forced to switch out here to Hakamo because I can't take a Gyro Ball. As he does go for Knock, good play. Get rid of my Violet. It's a smart decision on his end. Violet's actually really nice for Hakamo. As he does go Jellicent here, and I get a little bit greedy by going for Dragon Dance. I almost predicted him to go Jellicent. Went to go straight into my Copper Ojar, but again, because Copper Ojar is slower, because Tailwind's not up, Whimsicott would have been the better switch. I nearly went for it, but I opted for Dragon Dance in case he didn't go Jellicent for some reason and went for, like, Excadrill or something. Anything else, I wouldn't expect him to do that. But either way, I go to Whimsicott again, same play to take the burn. Whimsicott's the only thing on my team that really can take a burn reliably. Of course, Cinderace is the other one. As he does go Ferrothorn again, and I punish that by going for Tailwind. This puts me in a very nice position here. He does get Leftovers recovery back, which is a little annoying. But nonetheless, I switch back out on a Hakamo, this time predicting a Gyro Ball because, of course, Whimsicott's in. As we do see that happens, and Bulletproof prevents it, which is nice. Now I can actually go straight into Copper Ojar here, because I expect the Jellicent to come in, which it does. And at this point, the power kills. Now, here was a bit of a point of contention for Exo. I remember watching this back in the stream and we were talking about it after the game as well. At this point, Exo thought this Jellicent actually lived the Power Whip even through the Choice Band, but he didn't account for Nature. This is something to be aware of for a lesser player who's using the calcs. Be mindful that I might not be Jolly Nature or I might be Adamant Nature, various things like that. I was Adamant Nature, of course, as you saw in the Team Builder. And the damage calc does 96 to 113%, which of course means it kills it's about 70-80% of the time. It's a huge, huge roll in my favor, which of course he misplays and it goes down. He thought I max rolled him, unfortunately I didn't. But he does go into Rotom, now Tailwind is gone. I have to switch, really. I take the Cinderace here, predicting a Volt Switch, but at this point, I pretty much know he's Scarf anyway, so that's fine. Now, he does actually go Ditto here. Good play on his part, because High Jump Kick actually kills me. So, I had to switch out to Hakamo, who's the least useful member of my team, to take the High Jump Kick, force him out. Now, I make a good read here, because he does actually go Slurpuff, and I did, of course, have the Iron Head, which did a very good chunk to him, which did more than I thought it would, which means that this thing is more offensive than bulky. But nonetheless, he goes for Sub to proc the Lychee Berry. Definitely not surprised to see that. But again, go for Iron Head to break the sub. I think he expected me to switch, so he thought he was going to get a free sub, but I had no reason to keep Hakamo around. So he does go for Drain Punch and kill me in the end. And now here I could just go Whimsicott. All I need is Tailwind. That's all I need at this point, so whatever he does here is fine. He does actually go Max Starfall. Good play on his part to get the Misty Terrain up so I can't actually status him. Now at this point I can still Leech Seed though. I had to check whether Leech Seed was blocked by Misty Terrain. It wasn't. As we do see the Max Starfall come out. Now I do still have 2 turns of Tailwind, so Dracovish can come in and pick up a free kill. We do see the Max Guard, which does stall a turn out, which is a little annoying for me, but that's fine, because now he loses the Dynamax, and I'm still faster, so the Vicious Rend will pick up the kill, which is nice to know. So we're in an okay spot, despite being 3 to 4. He does go Rotom here, of course now no Tailwind, I'm slower, so I do go to Cinderace here, as he does show Thunderbolt, which was a roll to kill me, it didn't quite manage it. But again, he's just allowed his Rotom to take more damage, which is even better. He goes Ditto here, not surprised to see it, as I actually go for High Jump Kick, just for a Hail Mary. Actually, this move turned out to be important, because that damage is very good for Dracovish. But yeah, he does go for U-turn, kill my Cinderace, which is a little annoying. Now here, the replay's not going to show it, it's just going to show that I went straight into it. But here, this was a bit of a mind game that I played. I did not go straight into Dracovish here, because at this point I was still trying to bluff whether I was banded or scarfed. He wasn't 100% sure, he couldn't be 100% certain at this point. If I'd have gone straight into Dracovish here, he'd have been like, oh, it's scarfed, and switched out. I need this Excadrill gone, so I sat on it for a minute or so. I had to think about it, just to sit there for a little bit. I knew what I was clicking straight away. I obviously knew what I was clicking, but he didn't know that. So he was left waiting for a little bit, and this planted a bit of doubt in his head whether I might be scarfed or not. No, it kind of told me that when he brought this in that this wasn't scarfed. I didn't think this Excadrill was scarfed based on the way he was playing, because he would have gone into it sooner, especially on Cinderace or anything like that, particularly Whimsicott as well. So I kind of guessed that he wasn't scarfed. So I took my time, but I eventually sent the Dracovish in and clicked Fisher's Random one-shot. He wasn't Sash, so that helped me out a lot. Now at this point I'm in such a comfortable position. He does go Rotom here. This was a misplay on his end, going for Volt Switch. I can understand why he did it. It makes a lot of sense. It's the middle ground play. But at this point, you've got to know I'm switching out, because I've switched out on Dracovish every single time. Right? There was no time in this match that I didn't switch out Dracovish on Rotom. So at this point, I felt like he had to go for the aggression and go for Overheat. He didn't quite manage it, unfortunately. He went for Volt Switch, and this ultimately put him in a bad spot. Because he's fully bulk invested, there's no speed. My Helicopter outspeeds the Ferrothorn and one-shots with Heat Crash. Because I'm Choice Banded Heavy Metal, easy OHKO for me there. He does go into Rotom here, does try and threaten the Overheat, and this time he actually goes for Overheat, which I predict. I go into Dracovish, I get the read on him correct at the end here. Again, more chip damage. And at this point, he's just gone. At this point, he actually said GG in the chat, so I think he knew he'd lost. This is an important detail that I want to, for those who are watching my healer and less experienced and competitive, some people might look at this and think, well, why did I go for Crunch? Why didn't I just go for Fisher's Rend? The reason for that is because of Ditto being the last Pokemon. If I had clicked Fisher's Rend here, I would have locked myself into Fisher's Rend, which would have meant that I was doing very little damage to this Ditto. By going for Crunch here, it was my biggest damaging move. It still killed the Rotom, as you can see. It actually did about 40% bend, so not too much of a surprise. With going for Crunch into the Dracovish, it's the most powerful move I can use against myself. So that's why I went for Crunch here and not Fisher's Rend. Take note of that for someone who's less experienced, because if you'd gone Fisher's Rend here, you actually lose. But yeah, we see the Ditto here. Of course, I'm still locked into Crunch. I actually have a roll to kill him here, but unfortunately didn't quite manage it this time round. He does go Fisher's Rend, which does very little, as you can see. And we win the speed tie again, and we kill Hill with Crunch, just to take a nice 2-0 win over my good friend and rival Exostomp, of course. Super tough match, of course. This match took over an hour, rather than the 11 minutes it took me to talk through this match. Really tough match to start our season, but we've come through with a win, which is always nice. Definitely a good start. I've got a tough opponent, and in my next round I'm playing the Super Shell Smash Bros, who I've never played before, but I've heard a lot of great things about, so definitely looking forward to seeing what he has to offer me. But either way, that's going to be it from me. Let me know down below if you like this format, and if you want me to keep doing it this way. Hey, I will do my best. Check out Exo and Tyler down below. Definitely worth your time, but either way, I am going to get on out of here, so thank you for watching. My name is Robombi Teacher. I'm your coach at the Royal Bournemouth Robombis. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.